Hey Virgo. Okay. So here we have the Five of Cups. Um, so I really like Barbara's interpretation of this card in this deck because to me it's like the codependency card. Usually the Five of Cups is like someone. Um, it's usually like I read it as the you get dumped card, and then you're sort of pining away after that person and licking your wounds because you got dumped, and just focusing on, the spilled cups and not these. But I sort of feel like this is more about codependency. So really look for places in your life where either you're the one who is struggling with a negative habit, and you're always looking to blame someone else instead of taking responsibility for your behavior, or you're the one that is enabling someone else and their bad behavior. People, I use this in another signs. This is a really silly example. Oh, it was Sagittarius. That's right. It was my sign. um, but it's a good example. I remember when Britney Spears, this was years ago, was going to lose her kids if she didn't show up in court. And instead, she went and shaved all of her hair off. And looking back, I think she did it because hair samples, you can tell the drugs you're doing. And I think her drug issues were why she was losing her kids at that point. But I was saying to my best friend, I was like, I mean, why she wasn't there? I mean, why would she do that? She obviously wants her kids, Why wouldn't she show up at court? And my friend said, well, Jen, she obviously doesn't want her kids because she would have been at court. And I was like, oh yeah. Like, oh, yeah, duh. It's like you have to look at people's actions. And, she could sit there and go, oh, try to talk him through his troubles and tell him how, try to get him out of his depression or get him some help or whatever. But unless this guy really wants help, he clearly isn't at a place where he wants help at this point. And you cannot force other people to change. And I'm saying this more for myself than for anyone else. It's like, people you have to look at their actions and not their words. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. And you cannot change other people. So you can sit there, if you want to sit there and be her and keep enabling and offer more drinks and sympathy, or you can say, you know what, you're a big boy, and I'm not going to allow any more of my energy or time or life to be sucked up in your crap. And you're either going to change or you're not. And it's not my issue, because she doesn't think anyone else should be dealing with her own issues. Most likely she's not blaming it. So why is this dude's problem her problem? So really make sure you're not taking on other people's dysfunction and enabling it or allowing it to negatively affect your life. And I know that's much easier said than done, but really look, and it can be very, this is a very dramatic example of, an alcoholic, for example, but an addict, but this takes place in many other ways. There's narcissists, there's just selfish people who take, and you need to start giving. And boy, they're going to make you feel like, they're going to try to make you feel like you're, they're going to put you on the defensive, because these people love to blame their behavior on everyone else. I mean, if they were taking responsibility and acknowledging their problem and owning it, then they wouldn't need other people around to blame it on. And so if you are the guy in this picture in some way, if you can have that aha moment, or if you're the girl and you can stop being codependent and enabling and take charge and stop being going along for the ride with other people's issues, and take charge of your life. And the Chariot says you're going to do that, and you're going to steer your life where it wants to go instead of allowing these, the traditional tarot card has two horses, they're black and white, so two opposing forces that have just taken off. And so you can either sit in the Chariot and just go along for the ride as these horses react to things. Horses are prey animals. They're reactive. They're fight or flight. They just, they're not planning and figuring out what they want to do. They're just kind of grazing, and if something scares them, they react. So you want to grab control of the reins and try to steer things the way you want to go. It's really about really owning your stuff, good or bad, and letting go of other people's stuff. Stop blaming other people and stop taking on other people's stuff. Okay, you need like some boundaries, some healthy boundaries, and you need to start taking control of your life and stop blaming or allowing other people to blame you for things. And then we have the Hierophant. So actually, I looked up online how to pronounce this. It's like Hierophant. That's what it says. I hear it pronounced a million different ways. So however you want to say it's fine with me. So here we have another major trump card on the table. And this card traditionally is about tradition and finding a formal study or teacher. But I look at it in a more broad sense. And that is, teachers can come in all shapes and sizes, and it can come from our children, it can come from a book, it can come from a walk in nature. You never know when you're going to get or where you're going to get that inspiration from. So to be open to messages from anywhere. But it could also be going to, maybe you need to go to counseling. There's nothing wrong with counseling. I love counseling. And getting some objectivity and taking your power back. And so sometimes a spiritual practice can go a long way to that. Some self-help books, things like that. But to be open to little signs, it might not be, something obvious, but if something sort of, say, this happens with my son a lot, he'll all of a sudden just come out with this statement where he just so succinctly sort of cuts away all the bullshit and just presents something so matter of fact and such a simple yet elegant and incredibly deep and thoughtful way. And I'm just like blown away. I'm just like, wow, I was just talking for 5 minutes going on, and he just beautifully just laid it all out. And it's just like, exactly, that's exactly it. So look for those types of synchronicities. So I think this is going to be a pretty big month for you. It's going to ask you to really look at some of these dysfunctional people or behaviors that may be plaguing you. They can be big or small, but even the smallest dysfunction or codependency type of issue can have a big impact. It probably has a much bigger impact than you're realizing it. And taking a stand and either really owning your own issues and stop blaming other people, or stop allowing other people to blame you, and take control and man up, man or woman, sack up and deal with it. And your life is going to be so much better because of it, whether you stop taking on other people's crap or, own up to your issues. It's okay. We're all human. And there's lots of help out there, and there's no shame in getting help. In fact, it's admirable, and I find I respect people who can own up to their weaknesses and their vulnerabilities and look for help. I mean, there's something very attractive about that. It's the denial and the blaming and the anger and the, negativity that comes along when you don't sort of acknowledge our, the things we're struggling with that is not so sexy, shall we say. Um, so I'll see you at the next video. Take care.